Well, let me first talk about, starting back from birth, if you will, from 0 to 7. I have time frames that are set up, 6 different time frames that seem to be different things that changed my life, or different points of time that my life was just dramatically a stepping stone to the other sections of my life. But in 0 to 7 was one of those, starting out, had no father really. I mean, he was around, but really wasn't around. And my parents got divorced real young. And so I always had this concept of my dad didn't love me, my dad didn't want me. He was a massive alcoholic, massive womanizer, and into drugs and everything else. And I remember sitting on the curb, and I literally remember this as a 5, 6-year-old sitting on the curb, waiting for him to pick me up, every weekend. And he just never would, I remember going back in the house, and it was up for hours until it got dark. And my mom would say, "Well, come back in, Duane," and and my mom never said a bad word about him, never talked bad about him at all, and which I was always grateful for, because she knew I was going to figure it out sooner or later. So I always kept thinking my dad just didn't love me, didn't want me, and it sort of set up everything, self-esteem, image, a whole bit. And so I don't know how I was thinking that at that young age. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people did or do, but it hit me pretty hard for some reason. I think some people need fathers, maybe more than others. Maybe that's wrong to say, but I was one of those boys that, I want my dad around. So didn't have that. And so at 8 years old to 11 is another time frame that I think it was a time frame where Satan really set the platform for what ended up being a prelude to the rest of my life. And 8 years old, we had a house. My mom worked her rear end off night and day. She got us a house on Shepherd Street. And 8 years old, I got molested by the neighbor man. Wasn't a boy. Got molested by the neighbor man. And I got into alcohol at 8 years old. I got into pornography at 8 years old. I got into weed at 9 years old. I started having sex consistently at 11 years old. So from 8 to 11 years old, the claws, and I never thought this way. I'm thinking this way now after you and I have spent so much time in your mentoring me and all the things that have happened that we're going to talk about later on here as the reason for this testimony. But Satan just started getting his claws in me at a very young age. And I'd go, at this point now, the divorce was done for my parents, and of course, and all that. And I'd go see my dad on weekends, there for hours, and watch pornography at 8 years old, 9 years old, 10. I mean, just all the time, all the time. I don't know what my sister was doing. She was never in the room. I don't know what. I was so absorbed, I would just sit and watch of this demonic craziness of sex, and not even understanding it yet, like, what are they doing? And that's weird. And it just was hours and hours and hours and hours of it over the course of these times. And then, of course, I got into drinking. And where's that access to alcohol? My mother, wasn't a big partier at all, but still had the bar in the basement, and like other people did, and had, some booze up there and stuff. And so I started drinking, Mocha David wine and vodka. And at 8 years old, 9 years old, Mocha David wine and vodka, I remember to this day. And that was, then got into weed, started smoking weed. Mrs. Kramer's class at Weymouth Elementary School in Charlotte at recess, me and a buddy of mine would go and climb underneath the backstop where everybody else is playing baseball and doing their stuff, and climb underneath the backstop and sit in this guy's garden and smoke weed. And so we'd be stoned. We'd come in after recess and be stoned at 8 years old, 9 years old, and then, as you and I spoke before, maybe my first sexual experience with somebody else, as I was in the picture, 11 years old, I'm having my first sexual experience. Nasty girls. I didn't like good girls. They were gross. I didn't like wholesome girls. I was brought up literally in that realm to these girls liked it. And they were forward. So here my first sexual experience validated all those years of watching pornography. So that connection, and that connection never left my whole life. It was just, that was what sex was about. There's no love, I didn't understand any of that. Just never rang a bell to me at all. And So that was 8 to 11. And of course, I'm becoming bitter. Of course, I was molested. And I'm having an anger management issue towards men. But now 12 to 14 was another time frame, because now all of a sudden, now the guilt, the shame, and the anger was sitting in. So here I'm going into my junior high years with guilt, shame, and anger. Not a good way to start out, your junior high years, when everybody else is just trying to figure out if they look cool in certain clothes or something. I'm already knee-deep in stuff. I'm boozing, I'm drinking before class. But and the whole time, of course, Satan is just getting his claws little by little, and I look back on it and I start thinking of Satan is like a tick. If a tick is on your skin, you can stare at the tick, and the tick is ever so slowly moving in, ever so slowly burrowing. And before you know it, he's in your skin. But you never know it, you really never feel it till it's too late. And so I think about that. When I was younger, of course, everything's cool, right? Because now I'm bragging. Right? Of course, a lot of people know this anyway, so now I'm becoming very cool as a junior high kid, right? I'm getting women, I'm having sex all the time. Wasn't out of line at all, but I was coming strong, and I was getting into wrestling, I was getting a good name there, and then, of course, the first time I played football, right? I was like, man, I'm hitting people, and people are clapping. I'm like, dude, this is nice, because I can get violent and actually hurt other men, other boys, whatever, and people like it. I'm not getting in trouble. I had in shop class and the vice grips in shop class and put them in the hospital for 2 months, and so, but it was always about people. When I was angry at men, guys, it was about if I felt you were going to physically threaten me because of what I went through. Yeah. So it was never anyone nice. It was never the good kids. I was never a bully like that. I was always, if I feel intimidated by you or threatened by you, which was what football was all about, because you're coming at me, wanting to hurt me, you better bring something way more than you got, pal, because you had no idea why I was even on that field. But I didn't even understand football for many years. Yeah. I played it for many years, and I didn't understand it half the time. And so that was, again, 12 to 14. Now I'm, the shame and anger and guilt, but yet I'm, Satan's getting me propped up by getting me all the accolades. Now I'm getting real popular, right? I'm kicking butt. I'm strong. I'm winning wrestling matches. So I think I was like Satan's best prospect, because he could get to me in stealth mode and nobody knew it. I was always, looking good and accomplishing things and successful and polite, and I had this underbelly, this whole other side that was just demonic. What more do you want to say? Demonic at a shocking level that started building and building. And so there's from 12 to 14, right? Then 15 to 18, I arrived. In my world, man, I'm in high school now. I already had a reputation, right? I already had a reputation with girls. And I was having sex with juniors and seniors when I was 14 anyways. So I already knew a lot of these people. Charlotte is an all-American weightlifter. I was 15 years old, barely 15. And so now it's even more like, McGill's the man. He's the dude. So now, of course, and again, this whole time, I'm still drinking all the time, right? I'm still drinking consistently. I'm drinking like a man would drink. I get home from school and I'm drinking, and I'm football practice before or after, I'm drinking, I was functioning all the time, roll a joint, let's do that, have some sex. I was having sex all the time. Just before. But this whole thing, the whole time, now I'm building up this self-esteem, but yet I'm still very shameful, right? And I'm bitter. More bitter. And so there was just a catalyst. I get to be 15, and I get some girl pregnant right out of the gate. And this is a changing point in my life, as if I didn't have enough already, that get her pregnant, and she had an abortion after 5.5 months. So I had to live with the fact that I was a killer. And I carried that with me, Matt, for the last 45 years, 40 years. I killed a child. I lived with that. And up until the recent events that I'm going to speak of, I would never forgive myself for that. But the whole time, that's the underbelly. But the whole time, everything is still, Duane, it was really good. Everything was so flipped in my world that I got all this respect, all this all this admiration, all this attention in the good way, and nobody had any clue what was going on in my head and in my world, you know? I mean, nobody had any idea how much I hated myself, you know? 18, right? And I went to Michigan State, got MVP of the sports school, and I did all this stuff, and then here I'm going off to college. By now, I'm already a seasoned drinker, already way seasoned in sex. I'm seasoned in, you know, pornography. I'm seasoned in weed. I mean, I looked at everybody like they're little kids, you know, when a lot of people were just trying this stuff in college or was trying it as a junior and senior. I'm like, you guys kidding me? I was so mature, you know, thinking I was mature. And the whole time I was just selling myself out. I was selling myself to Satan, and he's just laughing. But as long as he can keep me successful, I didn't have to face it. I think we see that with people all the time. As long as they're successful, they don't have to face this. They can validate, well, it can't be that bad because look at me over here. And I went to Olivet because I had to. Okay, no disrespect to Olivet at all. Yeah. But I did. I went there for 9 weeks, and they took that studying way too serious at Olivet. I mean, I was shocked at how serious they took class in college. And I'm like, so I flunked out after 9 weeks. I went through the football season, 9 weeks, and we played 9 games, you know, I'm gone. You know, go to junior college for a little while. But I actually started studying, and actually started enjoying studying. Started, you know, majoring in psychology, and we got into quantum physics and behavioral science and business administration marketing, and actually started growing some brain cells in the right way. But the whole time, I'm still doing the sex thing, the raunchy stuff. I'm still looking for girls, and validated. I can still validate. Because I definitely always validated if I'm doing something successful or I'm being successful, God must be give me a gift, and not realizing that success could easily become from Satan, because as long as I was still doing this, there's no way to become successful and then do the underbelly disgusting stuff I was doing and then give thanks to God for making me successful. That made no sense. It doesn't now. Okay, so Satan knows how to prop you up, keep you going, keep you focused on things to keep you from facing the things that are going to put you literally in hell. And literally. And so fast forward from 19 to 22, I get out of Central. Didn't go my senior year, got divorced, had 2 kids at the time, because I got the girl pregnant at 18 years old. I forgot about that. And from my first son, then again when I was 21. And so here I am, 22 years old, 2 kids, divorced. She got smart and got rid of me. And now I'm out of college. I missed my senior year, but I'm a good football player. Here I am, try out with the Patriots. You know, and that was blown a little bit out of proportion. People think I was there for 10 years in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, no, I was there for a while. You could have kept the car running. I wasn't there that long. Okay, but I was there, and I was good, and I knew I was good. I blew my hamstring out in camp, and I remember stepping on the football field, and the Sullivan family owned the team at the time, and the field was all messed up. The end zones were all carpeted. It was just sort of hilarious, nothing like it is today. And I remember standing there on that team and looking up and holding my middle finger, to God and everybody. Like, F you, I made it. Everyone tried to keep me down, right? Everyone tried to keep me down. You know, the thing is, Matt, I lifted, and if you look at my resume for that, you know, I got 2 national championships. I took 3rd in the world. I got more state titles than I can remember. I mean, I never lost anything, and I never had an event. I was never at an event at any level where I wasn't drinking in the back room before I went out and lifted. Never. So, get done with the football stuff. I played semi-pro ball and had a good time and all that. But I get into business at 23. Now let's go fast forward from 23 on up to 54. I'm only 55, so let's do some math here. But I'm 23. Now I'm going to conquer the world. Now I'm angry because I'm out of the NFL. I was going to play for 10 years, right? Now I was going to go on a speaking tour and tell them how great I was. That didn't happen, okay? And like many, it doesn't happen. And so now I'm bitter about that. I'm divorced, I got 2 kids, I'm paying child support, you know, I'm living in Lansing at the time, in the ghettos of Lansing, with a sexual cycle that could match me. That was the funnest part of the whole thing. But it was just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm starting my company up, and I'm going to take this world by storm. And everybody get out of my freaking way. just get out of my way. Oh, I didn't tell you about I started my steroids at 20 years old, right? Yep. And if you know anything about steroids, cycles go like this. My best buddy at the time bought my first cycle of steroids. Steroids go like this, that if you go 8-week cycle, that's pretty normal. 10-week cycle, yeah, 12, 16, you get pretty serious, 12, 16-week cycle. People ask me to this day, did you service? Yeah. Well, how much? Well, I only did one cycle. It lasted 9 years. Mm-hmm. I went from 20 years old to 29 years old with never getting off. It would take me at times, which added all to my psychoticness anyways, right? My anger, bitter, all that. You start getting on steroids, things get real dicey. And so it would take me at times 2.5 hours every day at my peak just doing shots, prepping the needles, cleaning, prepping, draw, make sure the air's not in, popping, 2.5 hours every day. That didn't count the orals, the 20 to 30 orals every day, from the D-ball to the Anadrol to the methyl testosterone. I can't even name them all. Okay, my blood pressure was always 180, 190 over 140. I was a walking time bomb, and I remember going to the hospital several times. Right, going to the hospital, mainline, and shooting steroids and literally hitting a vein and running 3 cc's of cypionate right into my bloodstream and in my vein, and just, oh God, my heart's going crazy, rushed me to the hospital. Several times, God, please help me, God, please help me. And of course I'd come out of it, I'd get home, and I wasn't home a minute. Wasn't home a minute, Matt. I'd be drinking again, popping another one. I was just so ignorant. And for some reason, Satan just couldn't kill me. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if he was having a bad day, month, year, whatever, but I wasn't dying, which then I started getting even more invincible, right? I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof, dude. I'm building a business. I started a business at 2540 East Kavanaugh Street, at 23 years old in my, my house on Kavanaugh Street in Lansing, in the garage of my house. Cleaning company, McGill Lux Cleaning. Took it 9 states to 65 cities. So now I got a bunch of money, by the time I was 27, I had more money than I ever thought I'd be able to spend, which was not true, because I spent it. By the time I was 28, I was flat broke. I was literally flat broke. I had $15,000 or $16,000 to my name, and I had millions. I just had stupid money. It was just silly what was going on in my life. And I'm angry more now all the time. Now, here I am. I got, at this point, I got another son. Dane's in the picture. Now I'm married twice and can't stand being married, right? And I have my 2 other sons, and I pay child support on, and not being a good father at all, And when I say not being a good father, did I coach their football? Yeah, I coach their sports and stuff like that. But I'm talking about being a father, I'm talking about, being there for them, all the important things. Not just when they got a helmet on their head and you're trying to be proud to live vicariously through them. I'm talking about being there, being a father, all the things I never had. I used to say when I was younger that, man, when I have a kid, I'll never be like my dad. And I ended up being exactly like my dad. Because here I am building companies and I'm making money and I bankrupt and I'm making more money and then I get divorced again at 39 years old. And in between there, my second son came to me and says, Dad, I need your help. And, right? So I didn't talk to him for 3 years. And my whole life was a lie. Here I am chastising and criticizing this young man who needed his dad. And my pop is, how dare you? And that was me, man. How dare you? Lie to me. How dare you do anything cross to me? You know who I am. There's this whole crazy stuff going on. But the whole time again, here I'm building successful companies again. I'm making money. My name's in all the papers, all around here, and everyone's in my name is, I had, 16 different businesses at one time, 7 at one time, so here I was again, cloaked in this whole other thing going on. I'd walk into other restaurants and everybody knew me. There's McGill. Whatever he touches turns to gold. That was what they always said. That was the one-liner. Whatever he touches turns to gold. My second son, Eric, and it hit me because it gave me a chance to actually be the father that I should have been. And I talked to him about that. And I said, and he thanks me, for his whole life. Dad, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't do this. And Dad, I wouldn't do this. I did so much for my life. I'd be nothing without you. And I said, son, you have that so twisted. You have no idea that you gave me the confidence to be a father. Mm-hmm. You were there, and after I really screwed you and your brother over, let's call it what it is, I wasn't there. That, in my 40s, and the height of my business were going good, had my big home, had everything, and this is the point where, like I said, my personal expenses were $20,000 a month, but, I had all this going on, and I took these kids, and, of course, one of them was a daughter. That's the last thing I needed, right? Somebody like me, it's the last thing I needed, because that had, of course, when you have a good daughter, when you have a clear gift from God, and I'm like, oh man, because it made me face me at shocking levels that I never wanted to, never thought I could. And I'm like, oh no, and I love my daughter so much, and it just kept playing on me, and I'm raising my kids and making sure they were the best, instilling values in them that I didn't even have, instilling work ethic, which I did have, but instilling things in them that I didn't even have in me, and they were grabbing onto it, trusting me. And man, they started trusting me, Matt, and they started, of course, becoming very successful and balanced and good kids, good people, and the more they did that, the worse I felt, because I'm like, now I'm like living more of a lie than I ever thought I was. Mm-hmm. Now these kids are, and of course they're, I want to use the term worshiping the ground I walk on, but they love their dad, and they give all their credit to their father, and it'd be nothing without you, Dad, nothing, Dad. It just, and I'm like, man, then I remember talking to some friends saying, man, my soul ain't right, man, my soul just isn't right. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I just knew my soul wasn't right. But it got to a point, Matt, where I couldn't even hug my own daughter. I would hug her very gingerly because I didn't feel worthy to hug my own daughter. I didn't feel at all worthy to hug this gift from God that is so precious and so perfect in my eyes. And let me run through the last 4 years of my life real quick, because this is where everything came to a screeching halt or eye-opening experience more so than anything. So all that happened, but I come home in 2014 from Arizona. Again, ran a successful operation out there. I was out there for about 2 years. I had my own radio show, 960 AM, The Patriot. I was billed as the fitness guru of Arizona. So I was right next to Dennis Miller and Bill Bennett, who was the ex-defense attorney, whoever. All these guys, and I had my booth, they had their booths, I'd go out there, and I didn't own the clubs. I would work with the owners, and show them how the guys that had money but knew nothing about what they were doing. I'd go there and just jack this thing up, and it was just, I had a great time. Well, one of the owners was a big steroid dealer. Didn't realize how big a steroid dealer. Phone call, this is April of that following year. Okay. 9 months later, I get a phone call saying that the club had been raided. The DEA, the FBI, everybody's came in 50 strong, and Blaine, the owner, and is got thrown in jail over steroids. I'm like, whatever, cool, no big deal. What's that to do with me? Well, I got indicted with it. Long story short, Matt, I'm looking at 30 years in prison at 52 years old. So here's my name. Here's my name in the paper. And I'm thinking I got my crap together at this point, right? Here's my name in the paper. I'm looking it up. Duane McGill, Charlotte, Michigan, 52 years old, indicted, steroids, conspiracy with the intent to deliver and sell whatever, and then money laundering. I didn't know what the heck that even meant. I had to look it up. Big time, Long story short, that was a year and a half long process. I got 5 years probation, and all of a sudden I'm working out and I blew my shoulder out. This all happened in such a succession of months, it was unbelievable. Here I am popping pain pills and I'm still drinking, right? Because there ain't nothing to stop me from drinking. whiskey and Coke. I'm drinking whiskey and Coke. So I'm popping, Norcos or whatever the heck else they are, and I'm drinking whiskey and Coke like a mad dog, right? And I'm finding out that you don't feel a lot of pain when you do that. That's true, but that is really a bad idea for your insides. And my teeth started hurting, and I ended up getting teeth infections. And so I ended up going 2 weeks after the shoulder surgery. I ended up going in and having, they rerouted my gums. It was just shocking. I can't even explain it. My arm's out of a sling. My teeth are better. I'm starting to gain my weight back. And I go, man, something's not right with my side, man. Something ain't right. I don't feel right. And all of a sudden my body started like spewing acid everywhere. I was up at U of M doing a test. My body was spewing acid out my mouth, out my butt, just pure 100% acid, just violent, painful acid. I go in, they said, you got a 2.5-inch tumor on your left lobe liver. We got to take that out. You're going to die, man. And I'm like, what? He says, yeah, you got cancer. And I'm like, of course I do. After all this. And so I go in, they take out my left lobe. And they got a right lobe and a left lobe. Take out my right lobe, or my left lobe. And so here I just had cancer, 30 staples down my center after all this other stuff. I go from, almost going 30 years in prison to the shoulder, to the back, tooth, the bacterial infection. It's just months and months and months right in a row. And now I'm laying at U of M, with half my liver gone. And still now I'm mad. I ain't talking to God about anything, right? Because he's about ready to pee me off anyways. Like, dude, you ain't doing nothing for me, right? Not that I'm asking, but I'm just I still try to control everything. Oh no, you have 8 more tumors, they're all from your bones now and your liver, and we don't know. I said, dude, what's the prognosis, man? He goes, oh, you want to know if you're going to live another day, week, month, or year, decade? I said, yeah, pick a lane, just pick a lane, because we have no idea how long you're going to live. What you have is so rare, it's ridiculous. If 50 people had cancer, or if 1 million people had cancer, only 50 would have what you have. And what's even worse is that out of the 50, you have even more rare cancer than the 50 would even have, and only 0.05 would have of the 50 would have what you have. We don't know enough about it, what's going on. Right? I went to a meeting. A friend of mine in a restaurant, and I actually started swearing at God in this restaurant. Sitting with her, with my hand in the air, middle finger, swearing at God in this full restaurant. And then on the 12th, and I remember this now looking back, and it took me this long to figure it out, but I'm glad I didn't at the time. Is I'm sitting here, and I'm crawling in my house, and from the toilet, crapping, and I get near my bed, and I finally said, God, just take me or help me, please. And the whole thing was, man, I never even was thinking about the cancer. It really wasn't even on my mind. And so I'm laying there and said, God, help me or take me now, man. Just one or the other, just do one of them. And I never talked about the cancer, never had it in my head. It was just about my life. I don't want this seared. I knew my soul was hurting. I kept saying for months before that, my soul isn't right. My soul isn't right. And I talked to, Victoria, my soul isn't right. And I just kept saying it. And Satan is just tightening the screws more and more and more. And then it come to a head again. I got this, and I get up off the floor, and, I didn't have some miraculous recovery. I'm feeling okay, but nothing great. And, I was crying my eyes out, but I felt a relief. I felt a sense of just, that relief. And I didn't know what I was feeling. I'm just, there's something that was no longer in me. It wasn't heavy on me, and then, U of M to get my test results, and they said, Duane, we don't know what happened, but you got 50 more tumors in your liver. I only had 2 to begin with, and I had several more in my bones. They said, you got 50 more tumors in your liver and more in your bones than we can even count, through your skull and through your ribs and, and your spine. And remember this after I already just surrendered to God and said, man, just do whatever. And, but I wasn't even, like I said, I wasn't even focused on the cancer. I was just, something still was sitting good with me. And I get in the car and I'm driving home. I call my mom, and Mom, I got 50 more tumors in my liver. We got to go to plan B. And, but I wasn't mad at God. I didn't sit there and say anything to God. I didn't get, hey, you said, wasn't like, dude, I thought you were going to help me. I gave myself, nothing. There was none of that. There was none of that. There was no animosity anymore. There was no blaming him for stuff, you know. I said, man, this is where it all started getting crazy. It's the 26th of January. I'm driving to Wisconsin, and then I went from joy and happiness and all this to just this hateful, you know, the seared soul. I was so bent out of shape, and I had a 5-hour drive. I had a 5-hour drive to do this. Thoughts that I never thought I'd ever have. I never thought I'd really think about killing myself. I never thought about that. I always said I would never do that. I would never disrespect my kids by killing myself and leaving them. Never. And here I am, literally going, how can I drive this car off the road? How can I get to this bridge? How can I do this and make it look like an accident? I want to die, and I'm going to kill myself right now. And before that, and I popped the radio on, and it was on a Christian station and Christian music, and which of course before that was the grossest stuff in the world to me, man. I'm like, ugh, I just couldn't even if I liked the tune and stuff. The second I knew it was Christian, I was like, that's bullcrap. You know, I shut off. Yeah. So here's the Christian music playing, and I just knew Satan had his claws in me, but I could feel that. And at this point, I'm conscious of it. As I start walking through my head, I'm like, he's got me. He's really got. Oh man, this is. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to Christian music. The other third of the way there, I could just feel it. And the more the music played, the more I calmed down, the more I kept relaxing, the more I kept thinking things. And my mom loves me, and this is not it. I know what to say. The more I could just feel the claws just release. The more, just little by little, I could feel it. And because I started having my own cognitive thoughts with God, and I could hear God speaking, and the hand just, it was just lifting, and my soul was just getting so much less tight, you know. And I get across the news thing. There's only one treatment in the world that can help me medically with my cancer, because it's so rare. There's only one, and it's over in Australia and Europe. And I'm sitting there, this on the 26th, Friday the 26th. Remember, I already just was told I had 50 more tumors, and you know, just in my liver and bones even more. So I got 100-some tumors in my body as we sit here today. You know, and there's only one thing called PRRT that can save my life medically, a sandwich, as I said. And across, my phone beeps, and it was from this forum that said PRRT is now FDA approved in America as of today. And I just looked out at my phone, and I started literally crying, eating the sandwich, and of course the lady, the waitress, walks up right at that time, you know, and she goes, your sandwiches ain't good or what? No, sandwich is fine. You know, something was different, Matt. Something was just different. Now there's just, my soul is, and I keep saying my soul because you can feel your soul. You know, you really can. I mean, unless it's hurting, I guess you don't know what you're feeling, but when it's hurting, you know what you're feeling. It's one of those things. And it's like having pains in places where you didn't even think you had places, you know, and until you have the pain, you don't even know the places are there. But you can feel your soul hurting, you know, and when it's hurting. And so I know when it lightened up, something's going on here that is way out there to me. I don't get this. And I still wasn't even getting it, you know. I was like, oh, God's helping me. I wasn't even getting that. I was just, it was happening so fast, but yet in slow motion that I wasn't quite getting it. And so we go to this party, and I have some speed on me, you know, some legal, you know, prescription speed. And I'm like, I'm going to take some because we're going to have a big night, and I don't want to be tired, and I go to bed early, and blah, 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 all this stuff. You know, and of course I'm going to be drinking probably. And so I didn't want to do any of it. And I ordered a couple beers, and I took a drink of one. I said, I don't want to do this. I slid them across. I just want to do this. And I had the pills. I threw them out the window of the van. I said, I just don't want to do this. This is where it got real tricky. I laid down, and it was 12:24. I got up. I was wide awake, and God just says, get up and write. And I'm like, write what? You know, what are you talking about? He said, just get up and write. I got up, wrote them down again. Then I got smart, and I stayed there. and I literally just stayed there. And I'm like, okay. And I put my hand like this, and I just sat there at the desk, and boom, 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 in my head again. And I started writing. And then blank. I sat like this again. And boom, boom, boom. I went through 45, 46 chapters, Matt, of writing. But now it's 5:20 in the morning. And he kept saying the whole time, I'll give you rest, because I kept going, I'm tired. And it was like, give you rest. And 5:20, we said, it was your time, go to bed. I laid down. I got up about 6:40, so not long after. I'd been up all night. And it felt like I had never been up. I was wide awake. I felt refreshed. I felt there was no sleepiness in me at all. When they die, you know, there's this peace and stuff. Okay, I get that. That's cool. But man, I felt something on earth that I never thought I'd feel. I never thought I'd feel like this. Yeah. That I could just feel so calm and loved and taken care of and not having any of this anger and hatred and ego and bitterness and I wanted nothing to do with sex. I wanted nothing to do with pornography. I wanted nothing to do with the drinking. I wanted nothing to do with everything I used to want to have everything to do with. Yeah. Car. We go and drove back. And now 2/3 of the way back, remember, 2/3 of the way here, I went to drive off a bridge. And someone was going to die, me or someone else. And I hated everything again. Now I'm driving 2/3 of the way back trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And it never hit me until the end. And I'm driving back. I'm like, okay, because I got this book I'm writing apparently. And I'm like, okay, I got to know when I was saved. But this whole thing was a blur, right? I was all drugged up and I'm puking. So the January was a blur. I'm like, I don't even know the date. And I'm driving back 2/3 of the way back. I'm going, God, okay, I got to know the date. Right? I'm supposed to know the date, right? That's the whole point here. I'm supposed to know the date so I can put it in the book, right? I mean, right? No? Yeah? What? And the whole time listening to Christian music, of course, and just some peace and a calm. I called my mom crying. I said, Mom, something happened. I don't know. But it's good. I'll talk to you later. And I'm, but 2/3 of the way back, like I keep saying, and I'm thinking the date, now I'm starting to get a little ornery, like, what is the date? I gotta have the date. Why are you making me struggle over this date? You know, I gotta get my save date. And he goes, January 28th, 2018. The exorcism is complete. This is your date. It was as to what had just happened. Satan no longer had me. He no longer had anything on me. Got home and it's as clear and real and emotional today as it was when it happened. But I will say this: it's like the NFL. Don't brag or celebrate when you got drafted. Celebrate when you make the team, because Satan still works on us. He'll work on us, and so I celebrated the exorcism. I celebrated that seared soul, which is gone. And when you and I spoke, he said, Duane, it's really tough to get rid of a seared soul. Well, yeah, well, I'd say this. Let's don't talk about how tough our problems is. Let's talk about how big our God is, right? We got a pretty big God doing a lot of big things. And for him to be able to do what he done with me is, I was talking period. Yeah. So,
Duane, what would you say to somebody who is, sitting on the fence, that they've been living their life their way forever, and it's about them? What would you say to them as far as if they do take that step and they do give their life and their heart to Jesus Christ, what that does?
What it does, first of all, you're forever eternally going to live. I mean, not in this decrepit world, because this is Satan's world. And when we get over the fact of, if you're on the fence, you said it so well again a few weeks ago, where you work your whole life to be 75, 80 years old or something. It goes in a blink of an eye for all the rewards of this decrepit world, and you're going to sacrifice your soul in eternity. And there's one thing I got out of this, that I sit back and go, I don't know how I didn't die before. But if you're on the fence, you need to understand this is no joke. This is real. And
Satan can play games with your head all you want, but when your last breath is done and you're not saved, and you denounce God or you don't know God, you're going to go to hell. I never would have believed the way I believe now. But you're going to go to hell. And I don't know how serious you want to take that, but you better take it real serious. Because I still thank God that I didn't die all the many times I could have or should have. Because I would have been burning. And no, I'm not. So that's why this whole thing with this cancer, man. You know what I told you? I said I felt guilty about even asking him. That's how serious I think it is. You know, for if you're on the fence and you think God's going to make your life better on earth, yeah, he may not. Who cares? What's your point? We're not here very long anyway. What's your freaking point, man? I don't care less if he makes my life better on this earth. If I die of cancer tomorrow, whatever. I'm going to heaven. My soul is saved. That is so much more important to me than anything else going on. Anything. Period.
Duane, you know that Easter Sunday is when we celebrate a new beginning. It's when 3 days later, after he died on the cross, he conquered death. Your story and what you shared is the definition of a new beginning. And just like Christ coming out of the tomb, you have walked out of that tomb, and now you've got a new beginning ahead of you. And you know, the impact you can make in people's lives because of that is powerful. And I just want to thank you for sharing what you shared today. One last thing. How do you view the Word of God now, your Bible?
Oh, I say every day as it is written. It is the law of the law. It is priceless. It is. You know, I have my Bible. Nothing sits on my Bible, right? I have my Bible on the table, and my kids put like I don't know, mail or something. I said, get that off the Bible. Mm-hmm. Like, Dad, I'm like, nothing. It's near the Bible. Uh-huh. Set my hand. I hold it to my heart. Say, God, put your words and your wisdom in my soul. It is everything.
Yeah.
It is absolutely everything.
Yeah.